Get ready to uncover how schools manipulate students' thoughts, stifle their potential, and how politicians steal money in the future of America from kids. Welcome to the JB Sills Show.
Holy moly, there's like only 3 weeks left till the end of the school year, 4 or 5 or something like that.
I mean, time flies fast when you're not stuck in a building for 7 hours.
Ain't
Each
that
day.
the truth? Anyhow, so when I was watching a TED Talk by one of the only college professors I like, a guy named Peter Gray, I was quite struck by it, and I'd like to share what he said with you today. He was talking about a concept which we've all but forgotten, called play. Very simple. You know, playing with kids, no parents around, you're playing tag, you're playing sharks and minnows, whatever, you're just playing, alright? The way he talks about this is he looks at studies which have been done on mammals other than humans to look at this without any societal impacts, where he finds that, well, play is vital to everyone. Play is vital to just about everyone. Playing around, pushing each other, playing games, whatever. Alright? It's vital. It's very, very important. And he also says, well, if you're looking at this from a religious perspective, you could say, okay, that's like God's gift to humans, because play, it's one of the most important societal factors or societal impulses you can have, where you're playing with people. It helps you later in life. He shows it helps you later in life. It helps you with your relationships with other people, no matter what kind of relationship that is. It just is vital. It's absolutely vital. And the bigger brain the species has, the more play is necessary.
This makes me remember during one big test, I don't know what it was called, but it was one big test that we read an article in school, it's actually, about how, like, animals who are smarter, animals are more intelligent, will play. Like, wolves will play, but horses won't.
Well, that's ironic. But anyway, I would like to play a small snippet from this TED Talk, where he explains how vital play is, and also, in this case, how schools are detrimental to it, and how it has changed over the years.
Been a continuous erosion in children's freedom and opportunity to play, to really play, to play freely. This has been documented in various ways by historians and social scientists, and I'm old enough that I've seen it in the course of my lifetime. In the 1950s, when I was a child, we had ample opportunity to play. We had school, but school was not the big deal that it is today. Some people might not remember, but the school year then was 5 weeks shorter than it is today. The school day was 6 hours long, but at least in elementary school, 2 of those hours were outdoors playing. We had half-hour recess in the morning, half-hour recess in the afternoon, a full hour at lunch. We could go wherever we wanted during that period. We were never in the classroom more than an hour at a time, or for 4 hours a day. It just wasn't the big deal. And homework for elementary school children was essentially unheard of. There was some homework for high school students, but much, much less than today. Out of school, we had chores, some of us had part-time jobs, but for the most part, we were free to play for hours a day after school, all day on weekends, all summer long. I like to say that when I was a kid, I had school and I also had a hunter-gatherer education. At that time, you could walk through any neighborhood in America, almost any time that school wasn't in session, and you would find kids outdoors playing without any adults around. Now, if you walk through most neighborhoods in the United States, what you find, if you find kids outdoors at all, is they're wearing uniforms, they're on some kind of manicured field, they're following the directions of adult coaches while their parents are sitting on the sidelines cheering their every move.
Just a small snippet. Make of it what you will, but in my humble opinion, well, play is being taken away, and that's going to have absolutely detrimental effects.
I thought of something when you were playing that he said that they had part-time jobs in like high school and high school. I think that's a great thing because kids can learn in school while also learning real life skills by doing a job.
And the best way to be successful is to have lots and lots of experience front-loaded at you, something, you just don't do in school. You're in a red brick building all day. You're literally separated off from the rest of society, quite literally. So what does school nurture? What's school really good at doing? That's right. Crickets. Nothing. School doesn't nurture anything. Yes, you could know more by the time you get out of high school. You may know more about something or another. But you lose so much more. You lose your creativity, you lose your imagination, you lose your free will in many respects. You lose so much more than what you gain. And what I'd like to talk about today especially is age segregation. Age segregation, the kind of barbaric seemingly idea where we're going to have 7-year-olds only with 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds only with 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds only with 9-year-olds. You get the idea. That's all we're going to have. That seems a little barbaric to me. What about you, Producer Brooke?
I mean, now that you mention it, yeah.
Really? I mean, not only is it kind of barbaric, but you don't really see that in the real world. When was the last time you were at a job and you spent all day with the same aged people who had were doing the same sort of thing? When was the last time that happened? It doesn't. It never happens. You're never with only the same people. It does not occur. And it's a horrid system, and it's built on false assumptions and, in many respects, malicious intent from Johann Fichte and his Prussian system.
I think in classrooms, definitely younger kids could learn from older kids, and older kids could maybe even learn from younger kids and make friends.
And what's more importantly, when you're shut off in these red brick buildings for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, you don't actually get to talk to any of your elders. I mean, think about it. What we do, we shun our elders who have way more experience than we do, are probably way more wise than we are. We put them in retirement homes and don't give them a second thought. That's insane. That is absolutely ridiculous. Where we don't learn anything from them, we don't talk to them, we do absolutely nothing with them because we're in school all day. Where we don't get to talk to anyone with any kind of experience except for the teacher whose job is basically to be our babysitter. That is what our school system has somehow become. Or what it was always intended to be, perhaps. You could certainly argue that. That's what we've done here. But that is what it is. And I would like to quote from a guy named Frederick Burke. A very unknown guy. He was president of California State University at San Francisco. He was former president there, and he said this in 1912, way back when. He said, quote, "It is constructed upon the assumption that a group of minds can be marshaled and controlled in growth in exactly the same manner that a military officer marshals and directs bodily movements of a company of soldiers. In solid, unbreakable phalanx, the class is supposed to move through the grades, keeping in locked step. This locked step is set by the average pupil, an algebraic myth born of inanimate figures and an added pedagogy. The class system does injury to the rapid and quick-thinking pupils because these must shackle their stride to keep pace with the mythical average. But the class system does greater injury to the large number who make slower progress than the rate of the mythical average pupil. They are foredoomed to failure before they begin. Could any system be more stupid in its assumptions, more impossible in its conditions, and more juggernautic in its operation?" Unquote. I think that's quite the stunning indictment of this crazy age segregation concept. It borders on the realms of impossibility and ridiculousness that this could work. The idea that this could work. And what it does is it traps kids in one long, continuous, never-ending present.
You go to class, you go to each class, you learn like nothing, you get more bored.
Your creativity is smashed.
You get a lot less happy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that again, week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter.
year after year for 12 or 13 or 17 or 20 years, however long it may be that you're in this system.
How can anyone think that that is a good idea?
It boggles my mind, but apparently, like, more than half the country does.
They think the people who designed the system, or the people who look at it today and say that it's a great system, think about the theoretical. If we tell kids this, they will remember it. If kids are bored and aren't happy, they will not remember what you tell them.
The idea that you can teach kids who do not want to be taught is such a fallacy, so insane, that I don't even think we need to debunk it. You just need to think about that. Just think about that. Let that run through your mind. The crazy idea that kids are going to learn if they don't want to be taught. That's stupid. That's absolutely incredibly stupid. And again, long continuous present. You're taught no history. I mean, at least you absorb you absorb little to no history. You might learn a little bit. You might learn George Washington existed. All right, maybe you'll learn that if you're lucky. But you get no real grasp on why anything is the way it is today, and because you have no tether to reality. You don't talk to elders. And kids feel like they have no future. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I'm friends with many of them. They feel like they have no future. All right, that is how they feel. So it's one long continuous present. That is whatever, whether or not it's expressed. That is the mission of schools, to make one long continuous present where kids feel like there is no past and no future. Just again, 6 days. 6 hours a day, 5 days a week.
6 to 7.
True. 6 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know, however many weeks a year, 12 years. It's ridiculous. I cannot fathom how people think this is a good idea. But it goes back to the Prussian model, which we've talked about. Link somewhere on the screen. I'll put a link to the video we did on the Prussian education system on Johann Fichte and his craziness. And here's another bit of bad news. Many of the people who claim to be the solution to this are just as bad as the culprits. Let's go through some of these groups. So have you heard of a long been deceased doctor, psychologist, I believe, named Maria Montessori? She was an Italian, I believe, physician, psychologist, something like that. Very, very early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s. And actually, she got many things right. She was basically the opposite of John Dewey, which, I like, because John Dewey sucks in every way. So she was quite smart. She got a lot right. However, our modern day, quote-unquote, Montessori schools are ridiculous. They're horrific. They claim to be the antidote to public schooling, but instead, the only difference is public schools don't have desks, and for whatever reason, there was a massive, massive bullying problem there. So Montessori schools, which there's a lot of, I don't know if you've heard of them, but there's a lot of them, are a complete joke. They're just as bad, if not worse, than public schools. And then, this one made me, honestly, I'll be honest, this one made me sad. This one made me really sad. Khan Academy. They're probably not as bad as public schools, but if you go to their website and you search up Common Core, they work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to use Common Core standards. And, well, we're no fan of we're no fan of Common Core here. So that one made me really sad, actually, because I thought Khan Academy was good, and I was wrong.
Why don't you do a little retelling of some of the problems of Common Core?
Okay, well, first of all, the foundation. The foundation was corrupt. It was founded by, basically most of the standards were made by either the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Pearson. And Pearson was connected to the Libyan Investment Authority, which was run by the Muslim Brotherhood, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, blah, you get the idea, Libya, all the typical culprits. So first of all, its foundation is connected to Islamic fundamentalists, very much so, and also hardcore globalists like the people who run Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Hardcore globalists who want a one-world government, just they admit it. They're proudly proclaim they want a one-world government. So it was founded to be a one-size-fits-all indoctrination system. Already, it was founded to be that way. And it assumes that, again, the myth, like what Frederick Burke was talking about, that mythical average student, which we can make an army of, a grand army of 50 million average pupils. That we can somehow get rid of all the gaps and make equity somehow with public schools. So the whole idea of it is horrid, and then the execution might have been even worse. But we'll do a whole episode on that, because the execution and what it does to kids is absolutely terrible. But just the foundation was absolutely horrible, and it was malicious.
All right, we actually have to wrap this episode up.
Oh, whoops. If you have any questions, my email is jbstillshow@gmail.com. Please do subscribe and share. I would really, really appreciate that. And you can also like the video, follow us on Twitter down below, press that bell, press every single button you see except the dislike button. And until next time, I've been your host, JB.
And I've been producer Brooke.
And we are signing off.